Today's problems are going to be dealing with rates and unit rates. And so we're going to be doing some division to come up with these answers. And so let's take a look at our first problem here. It says 8 yards for $22. So we want to find the rate at which 1 yard ends up costing. And so whenever we have rates, typically we put dollars on top and the other unit's going to go on the bottom. So we want to know what the unit rate is. And again, the unit rate is how much it's going to cost for one item, so whatever this unit is. And so we've got the dollars typically on top and the units, whatever they are, in this case yards, on the bottom. And so that's how we're going to set this one up. So $22 over 8 yards. And so when we have a problem like this, we divide by putting the numerator inside this fraction bracket, and we're seeing how many times 8 goes into it. Well, 8 goes into 22, we have 2 times. So we end up with 16. We do some subtraction. We got 6 left over. So we're not done, so we have to add a decimal point, bring it straight up into the quotient right away. Bring that 0 down and see how many times 8 goes into 60. Well, it goes in there 7 times, makes 56. Do the subtraction, we get 4 left over. Add another 0, bring it down, and 8 into 40 goes 5 times. So our answer is not just 2 75/100ths, but it's $2.75 per yard. So make sure you put the units in the problem as well. So again, this is a unit rate. How many dollars for 1 unit of measure? So for this next one, whenever we have dollars and units of time, so again, when our unit rate is dollars per unit of time, in this problem, all the units of time for when we have dollars is going to be in hours to get the correct answers that I end up having for these problems. And so whenever we see those dollars and we've got a unit of time, change the time to hours. So that's what we need to do first. We're going to change this 90 minutes so it equals hours. And the way we do that is think of it as a fraction, 90 minutes over 1. So we're going to multiply by a conversion factor. Well, the conversion factor is going to convert minutes to hours. So that means I want the minutes to cancel out, so I'm going to put minutes on the bottom and hours on top. But 1 hour doesn't equal 1 minute. So how many minutes equal 1 hour? 60. So we have to put 60 minutes on the bottom. So now you'll see the minutes canceling out, and we can do some reducing, further reducing. You see that zeros cancel out. That's like dividing by 10. And 6 goes into the 9. We've got 3 goes into both, so that makes a 2 and this a 3. So now I've got 3 halves, and what I want to do from here is just change that to a decimal form. So it's going to end up being 1, and 2 goes into 3 one time, makes 1 left over. Add the decimal point, and 2 goes into 10 5 times. So there it is, 1.5 hours is how many minutes 90 minutes represents. So now we can go ahead and set up the problem. We got $3.60 per, and then we've got 1.5 hours. So whenever I'm dividing by decimals, right away I'd move that decimal in the divisor over. Same thing with the dividend. So it becomes 36. So 15 into 36. And so we're ready to do the division. 15 times 2 makes 30. We got 6 left over. Add the decimal point. Make sure you put it straight up in the quotient, and then add the 0. And 15 goes into 60. We have exactly 4 times. 4 times 15 is 60, and there it is. So our answer is going to be $2.40 per hour. So make sure you get the units in there. So again, whenever we've got dollars and hours, dollars and units of time for our unit rate, we're going to always change these to just to hours. And so we're going to change 4 hours and 30 minutes just to hours. So 4 hours and 30 minutes, think of that as 30 over 60, because 60 is a full hour. So 30 minutes is the part, 60 is the full. So we can go ahead and reduce that, canceling out these zeros. That's like dividing by 10, and then taking out the common factor of 3. So we find that 4.5 hours is what we have for 4 hours and 30 minutes. Well, that's the same thing as 4 5/10. So that's the number we're going to use. And I'll set up my division problem. I got $10.80 divided by 4 5/10 hours. And so we go ahead and do the division. We got 45, so I'm going to move that decimal over. Same thing in the dividend. So 45 into 108. So we got to figure out how many times 45 goes into that number. So we'll start by thinking of maybe covering up this 4 and cover up the 8. 4 goes into 10, how many times? Well, that'd be 2 times. So let's try 2. And so I go ahead and do the math. 2 times 5 makes 10. This makes 8 plus 1 makes 90. So do the subtraction. I've got 18 left over. So that ended up working out. But we've got to add a decimal point. Bring it straight up in the problem. And do 45 into 180 now. Well, I could do the same trick. Cover up the 5, cover up the 0. 4 into 18 goes 4 times. So let's try it. So 4 times 5 makes 20. Carry 2. 4 and 4 makes 16, plus 2 makes 18. So it did work out. So our answer is $2.40 per hour. Once more. Same answer as the last one. Well, the next problem, you've also got ones that deal with words. And we've got units of time. Now, on these problems, whenever you have words, so whenever you see the problems, let's change those units of time. If you've got a word and then per unit of time, the unit of time is always going to end up being in minutes. So we're going to change this to minutes. So 2 hours and 30 minutes. So what we need to do is change that 2 hours to minutes. So think of it as 2 hours over 1 times by a conversion factor. Now the conversion factor, this time we want hours to cancel out. So we've got minutes on top, because that's what we want, and 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. And so when I go ahead and multiply straight across, 2 times 60 makes 120. But that's how many hours or minutes 2 hours is. So let's change those units real quick. 120 minutes, but we also have 30 minutes, so I have to add on that 30 minutes. So it makes 150 minutes altogether. And so when we go ahead and do the problem, we've got 7,500 words per 150 minutes. So what we're going to end up doing is reducing a bit. So you see how these zeros, it's like dividing by 10. Those cancel out. Now we have a common factor still, so let's divide by 5 maybe to start with and see what's left over. 5 goes into 7, we got 1 time. And there's 2 left over, so 5 goes into 25 5 times. And then we have that extra 0. So far we have 150 words over, and 5 goes into 15 3 times. So I could have taken out more. So I've got one more division problem I can end up doing. I can divide by 3. Divide the top and the bottom by 3. So 3 goes into 15 5 times, and 3 goes into 0 0 times. So we got 50 words, and then 3 divided by 3 just makes 1 minute. And that's the answer we're looking for. So 50 words per minute. So those are the types of problems that you're going to end up seeing on tonight's homework. Good luck.